Rodney. This is number 6 for IES.
Number 6.
So, the Irrational Economic Summit, what does that mean? How did this name came up? What is this all about? And why do we do this every year?
Well, the name came about because, Harry and I have been doing this a long time, and we've written a lot, and it's kind of a play on the words that you get from mainstream economics, which is the rational man principle.
Okay.
And so the idea is they write a theory that says, well, a rational man will do this, and then they base all sorts of stuff on it. The government makes decisions. And a great example is if the Federal Reserve lowers interest rates to 0, then rational people will take all their money out of the bank and go spend it, driving up the economy. And we said, that's great, except most of us are clearly irrational.
Right. Yeah.
But we do have a rational piece. We're looking at our own lives. And if we take out all of our money and spend it, it may make sense on paper, but it doesn't work for our long-term view. And so the Irrational Economic Summit is more focused on how people actually live their lives. And it's a nod to behavioral economics, which tends to say, hey, this is how people actually do things, right, versus the theory you read in a textbook.
Excellent. Now, we've got about 300 or 400 people. Not only do we have 300 or 400 people, we also have a seeing eye dog who just went by. So I'm very distracted. That looks just like my dog. So I'm not sure what's going on there. That's great, though. It's really exciting. So far, we've heard, well, the theme for this year is disruption.
Yep.
We've heard from 2 speakers so far. First, Harry Dent, of course. Harry kind of took us like the history, it was like an economic history of the world, right, and how these things affect the things that are going on right now. We just heard from George Friedman. Geopolitics, those black swan events that really do disrupt and change things. What did you get from those 2 speeches?
Well, Harry, of course, is building the foundation of all of our research, and so a lot of that I can safely say I already knew. So I feel pretty good.
Okay.
And you being, of course, Harry's lead researcher and analyst, you knew a lot of the charts because you built them. And so it's a great refresher on the cycles and kind of the long-term recurring trends, and that we're in the middle of a couple of cycles, getting near the end of the economic winter.
Yeah.
But we still have this innovation cycle going on, and certainly the overriding geopolitical cycle. With George Friedman, I thought it was interesting to bring back, kind of some ideas of what's going on in the Middle East and how we ebb and flow in our interest. And right now, it's something I've written about, that the United States has a lot less interest in the Middle East than we did, even 5-10 years ago.
Yeah.
Because, frankly, we don't need their oil. And so it's like, y'all kind of fight it out over there. And his information, I think, was very interesting to kind of recenter as to where we as the United States and other countries are going to focus their efforts, energies, and really their wealth in the years to come.
Yeah, we had the global financial crisis, obviously, and then the election of Donald Trump, who really tried to reorient where the United States was going, and everyone else has to catch up and adjust. So, yeah, it was really a very realist, I'd say, perspective on what's going on in the world.
And to that end, at the very end of George Friedman's remarks, I found it interesting that he said our goals in Europe, really the world, have been the same for the United States since 1900, which is to not allow any one nation to control Europe.
Right.
And so it's not balkanized. We don't want them at odds with each other, but we certainly don't want one unifying factor. Is it malfeasance? Is it, whatever? I don't think so. I think it's saying, hey, wait a second, once somebody coalesces that sort of strength, then you have another player on the world stage that is as large or larger than we are. So that's interesting.
Yeah, absolutely. So those were the first 2. We've got a whole slew of speakers coming up. One of those, actually, you have a speech tomorrow.
Yep.
Do you want to just talk about what that is, at least let the audience know so they get some anticipation?
Well, it's going to be marijuana, and so
Obviously.
I think that's in the schedule. Yep, I'm writing about pot, or not writing, I'm speaking about pot. And the point is we have this dichotomy going on where the federal government says, hey, it's illegal, but the states are saying, actually, it's something we want to do. And so that creates opportunity because that disconnect means that you don't have a lot of growth on the national stage for companies right now, and it allows us to be in on what will be the ground floor of a very large industry in the years to come.
Excellent. Very much looking forward to hearing that. Up next, we've got Neil Howe and then our keynote speaker, Kevin Ashton, talking about the Internet of Things. And don't go away at the end. I'm going to have Harry Dent. When the speeches are over, we're going to talk a little bit then. So that's all we have for now. Rodney, thank you for joining me, and we'll see you guys next time.